Welcome back. This is Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Coach's Corner with eyes on future NBA prospects. Who's going number one? We're talking a little Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham. Of course, we do have to mention Jalen Suggs, Evan Mobley, Jonathan Kaminga. It's not a sure thing who's going to go number one, but if you have a top five pick, you are very, very lucky because it looks like you're going to have a great player in a future All-Star on your hands. It's one of the best drafts that I've seen at the top in some time. We want to start with Mr. Cade Cunningham. And to a lot of people, he is the number one player in the nation or a prospect.
Yeah.
Averaging 19.5, 6.3 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He's shooting the three ball at 4.25 on 5 attempts a game. And as you can see, the stroke is smooth. He has a patient game. His jab step, as we see here, a little Jimmy Butler, two directions is beautiful. He's got a nice little mid-range game. He's very, very patient. He uses that big frame. He's 6'8", 220. And he's bulldozing. He's a point guard, and there he goes finishing in traffic. He's a general out there.
Yeah.
He starts his offense. He gets to his spot. He's very, very patient. He utilizes the pump fake. He uses his big frame. He's got a beautiful little hook in the paint. Look, here he is using that elbow, just methodically an old school, great IQ player. My NBA comparison is Luka Doncic, which is high praise. I wouldn't say he's diet Luka because I think he falls somewhere in between a mixture of Luka Doncic in his backcourt mate for the Mavericks, Jalen Brunson. I see a little bit of Jalen Brunson in him.
Yeah.
He looks like an NBA vet right now, and he's 19 years old.
Yeah.
Everything about him, he's been super duper solid in the clutch. He put away Oklahoma 2 times last week, Wichita State, the game on the line, his game icer, OR. I've seen him be clutch this season in Oklahoma State is the best that they've been since Marcus Smart, and this is the highest rated prospect since Marcus Smart, and I think he is better. What are some takeaways that you've noticed from Cade Cunningham?
As a coach and as you're watching him play, he just gets it. When you watch him, he's that kind of floor dominator, and he commands respect on that court. He's got a quick jumper. I like that he's kind of shifty. And I do like that he actually can be versatile. So you saw him post up. He does that a lot when you see that smaller guy on him. And that's not something that you can teach very well, especially with guys like, trust me, I have guys that I coach. And I'm like, hey, get in there. If you're long, lengthy, get in that post. But they don't want to do it. And he does. And I think the one thing I really like about him, he's got a high basketball IQ. He's unselfish.
The highest.
And when you watch him, you're like, damn, he can fit. And the thing about him, he's going to be versatile wherever he goes. He can fit in whatever team he has just because of his high IQ. And I think he's improved his 3-point shooting. And that's something that he's definitely that's just something that he's going to need to improve on a little bit. But he has.
We'll see what happens when he gets to the NBA level, because he is shooting college threes, and sometimes that doesn't always transfer. And he's on the line shooter. I haven't seen him shoot many deep shots, so it will be interesting when he gets to the NBA level if he's still hitting this high of a clip from three-pointer, because that is obviously part of our game. It's a huge integral piece, especially point guard.
NBA is now, right? Threes.
Absolutely.
That's our life right now. I would say he's actually a sneaky good defender. Like when you watch him and you watch his tape, I mean, we just watched one game there, but he's got quick hands. He gets in front of the defense and he's not reaching. And when I'm saying that, I was like, he's a good off-ball defender. So when you watch him play, you'll notice like we play, we're playing gaps and we're looking at that and we're trying to make sure that no one goes baseline in our defense. You'll see Oklahoma State kind of does the same thing. He's good at getting his hands in deflections, and coach knows I love deflections. That's my thing, Ben Simmons.
Absolutely.
So when you watch him, he gets those deflections really well. He doesn't get in bad spots, and he doesn't really foul very much. And he's aggressive when he's on defense, but he's smart. He knows where he needs to be, and that's the thing I love watching him. I know defense is one of those things in the NBA that they don't play anymore, but you can notice that his defense tends to go to transition, and he's so good at decision making. He's one of my favorite prospects we've seen in the last couple of years. I really like what he can do on the court. I love his speed. And as a point guard, now I'm small ass point guard compared to him, but as a point guard, I love watching him play.
And you mentioned a couple things that stuck out to me. One was you were mentioning IQ, but you related it to defense. And a lot of people put IQ and they put it all on offense. Like that's what their IQ, but no, defensive IQ is smart, and which helps like Luka, who's not a great defender, be serviceable, just getting there in the right spots. And I seen him take a charge at the end of the game to kind of ice a game, and a very important block against Oklahoma just last week. So he does show that smart, knows his anticipatory skills are on point. Although he lacks real like quickness and speed, and he might get beat on the perimeter by some of these quicker guards. He's not going to be a liability because of his size and because he just is. He's just got the game figured out. He plays like an old man, and he's just a kid. And then the other thing that you pointed out was the point guard play. Now, he had been a wing his whole career. In senior year, Coach Kevin Boyle, who is no stranger to putting pros in the NBA, a la Ben Simmons that we had mentioned, D'Angelo Russell, Kyrie Irving before that. He's probably the best high school basketball coach that's going right now. He put him at point guard, and he stepped up to the plate. He does have to grow as far as a point guard is concerned with his passing. He only averages 3.5 assists, and he has the ball in his hands like the entire game. I don't know if that's a part of his point guard development that might be further behind some of the other methodically great things he does IQ-wise with the basketball. But I think that if we're looking at weaknesses, one, I mentioned kind of that the quickness factor defensively, and two, like his ability to pass. He's definitely not the best passer in this draft, even though he might be the best point guard prospect.
Yeah, I think his vision's great. His decision-making sometimes I think he tries to get it in there too quick, and he tries to make the perfect pass. And that happens with young guys. Trust me, it's there. But I would say the one weakness I was going to bring up later, but I'm glad you brought it up, is his athleticism. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not amazing. So when we look at these prospects and we're looking at how big of an athlete they are, I think that he has a very solid floor as an NBA player. Now, his ceiling might be limited just by that athleticism, which isn't to say he's going to be a bad prospect. It's just, I think when we look at these guys, we're looking at athleticism and we're like, okay, where's that ceiling going to be? I just think he has a lower ceiling based on that.
And no, I understand that, and that's why I kind of threw a little bit of a die at Luka, because I don't think he has the potential to be a Luka Doncic, a generational great talent. But I think that this is going to be a perennial all-star. And I want to mention one last thing before we move on to the electric Jalen Green, and that is Cade Cunningham's leadership. His leadership ability. He looks the part. He acts the part. He's general. He's orchestrating the offense. He puts the ball in his hand, and with his jab steps and his patience and his pump fakes, he gets everybody else in line, and he knows when to turn it on. Yeah. And it's leadership by, hey, at the end of the game, give me the ball, and I'm going to get it done. And we saw they were the best high school team, him and Scotty Barnes from Mount Vert Academy the year before, and a lot of had to do with the leadership of Cade Cunningham, and that's super, super, super important when we talk about point guards.
Yeah.
So let's move on to a prospect that you have been privy to understand and know a little bit better, and that's Jalen Green. So I want you to talk a little bit about Jalen.
Yeah, Jalen is a kid that I actually got to coach against as a freshman. He dropped 40 points on my team as a freshman, and I remember just seeing this kid like, who the hell is this guy? He came out of nowhere in the Central Valley over here in Fresno, and he's just been electric. So he's someone that I've really grown to really just watch and enjoy. I've probably seen more high school games from him than almost my own team. I always went to his games. I saw him win a Valley championship, and he was electric his junior year. Then he went to, prolific prep his senior year, so I didn't get to watch him his senior year too much. But in the G League right now, he took a little bit of a different direction. He went to the G League. He's 6'6", 180. He's averaging 17, 4, and 3 in the G League. He's looked pretty good. I want to show some highlights from a recent game of his. One area that I think he's improved incredibly is his three-point shooting. That's something that he struggled with in high school. And I know his high school coach, Brad Wawlowski, is how you say it. We had him on a podcast, and he talked about how he would be in the gym for 2-3 hours just working on his shot. And you could tell he's an athletic freak. I love watching him play. Like this play right here that you just saw, he's just he's just so incredible. And when we talked about it with his coach, he said he would do things in practice that just made him go, who the hell is this guy? Like, I can't believe I coach this guy every day. And when we talk about that athleticism ceiling, that's where it's at. I think he does a pretty good job of creating his own shot. I think he definitely needs to work on that a little bit, but he's so long and lengthy, and he gets to the free throw line. And in high school, that was one of his big things that I always saw him do. He got to the free throw line. He's worked on his catch and shooting. And I think if he can keep adapting that catch and shooting, and he's still growing to that, I think that's where his ceiling is going to be amazing. The fact that he's pulling up like that, that's not something that he did in high school. He worked on it his senior year, and he had that. So that right there, what you just saw, just what he was able to do, is something that he's definitely improved on. So when I'm looking at draft prospects, I'm saying, okay, who can this guy be? He's just explosive, natural athlete. He's improved every step of the way. He draws fouls at a good rate. He's a great free throw shooter. He's done it at the USA level, Team USA. He's done it in high school. He went to Prolific Prep and was playing the best teams in the country his senior year. Now he's in the G League, and he's dominating the G League, and he's playing well. And I love kind of what he does. He's an underrated defender because of his length. I actually think he's a pretty good defender. He definitely needs to get a little bit better at just aggressiveness. But overall, this dude is my guy. And I'm a little biased because I've seen him, and I've seen him. I've watched him play, but he's just somebody that, athletically speaking, and what he can do out there is just, I love watching him play basketball.
He certainly looks the part. He walks in a room, I feel like, and everyone's eyes are gravitating to him, and to expect a new what is he going to pull out of his bag of tricks next. I'm glad you pointed out the Team USA success and being on there since the under 16s and 17s, and typically the United States wins all of those competitions, and Cade Cunningham's been right there with him. Mm-hmm. And they've done this together, Scotty Barnes as well. And I love players that have been developing in the USA, Team USA, something that you can't say about like an Anthony Edwards. You see these mature players that get better each and every year, like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. They've been on the top list for years now, but they keep tickering. They keep getting a little bit better. You point out his three-point shooting. When I look at the numbers, and this is dating back to when he's 16 and all the way through his high school career, it's alarming to me that his percentages are so low because his stroke looks so smooth. Like one of the player comparisons that I wanted to make is like a younger Ray Allen because of that stroke, and Ray in his heyday and when he was younger, he was driving to the rim. But Jalen Green. 6'6", like the ceiling part, because of that athleticism, he is one of the top lob catchers that I've seen, like almost ever. They just run the play for him, whether it's high school, whether it's Ignite now, and he goes up and he gets it no matter who's around. Wherever that ball is, he's got really good anticipatory skills, catching lobs, but also defense. He gets steals, he gets his hands in there, he gets deflections. We could see growth there if his defensive IQ goes up, but he could be a good rangy defender. He's got to put some weight on. He's a little slender. He's 180 right now, and he might get bullied a little bit to start things, but I see him developing, getting stronger. He's got a decent build, so it's just about a matter of growing up. I mean, the kid, he's still a child. He's still a kid, right? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I will. I mean, I'm going to say he definitely. I think one area, his 3-point shooting has gotten better. He's a streaky shooter. I've seen him in high school where he hit 10 threes in a row, and you're like,
even Ignite playing in a G League, he gets hot.
Yeah, if he does that, he's unguardable. Like I'm telling you guys right now, if he can hit his shots right away, oh shit, watch out, because he's not going to miss. I've seen it personally. I'm like, oh well, this is going to be a long night for that team. But I have also gone to games where I'm watching him and he's missed like 3 or 4 in a row. And then you can tell it gets a little streaky. He rushes it a little bit. But when you see that, you're just like, man, this kid can do it. I do think that his ball handling so when you watch him play, if you notice, everything's kind of to the right. And when and he tends to, when he's going, he will kind of shift to the right a little bit. But overall, I mean, he'll learn, he'll get better at that, and that's just because of the competition he's played against. But I absolutely love him, and I think that he's definitely there. As far as comparisons go, we're always trying to figure out comparisons. I like a Brandon Ingram comparison, not for his size, not necessarily for his length and what he has, just kind of he likes his mid-range game. He likes to pull up. He probably needs to attack a little bit more. And so I like that comparison.
I went with a little I know Wiggins kind of get thrown out there, but because of his slender build and because of his athleticism and leaping, I went with a higher motor, higher engaged Andrew Wiggins. And I mean, Andrew Wiggins is a 20-point scorer in our league at some point. He got a max contract. So like it's saying a lot, but like with a higher mode, that's his one thing that he's critiqued more than anything. And I think Jalen just likes the game or cares a little bit more. But you said about the streak, and I noticed it in one of the games of the Ignite that I was watching when they were undefeated and they played against the Wizards G League team, and he had a rough start. He missed a couple shots, and it felt like he almost disappeared in the game. And that's one, them not putting him in the right spots and getting him rolling. But two, it was kind of like, it wasn't kind of his day, and he just kind of was out of it more so. But then I've seen other games where he's gotten hot and just completely taken over the game. So I did mark down the ball handling. He's got to get better. He does. You point out he goes kind of to the right. He does the back and forth. He does a little hezzy dribble, and he gets into his rhythm, and he can almost shoot over anybody because he jumps really high when he shoots. So I like that, but he doesn't have any moves. Like we were watching Cade Cunningham, he's in and out, he's behind the back, he's spin move. Jalen is all downhill. He's right, left, and then he's quick first step, and then he gets to the rim and he finishes, and he's got an ability to just be in the air forever. But he doesn't have any moves. And people develop that. Like Bradley Beal didn't have a lot of dribbling move. Now he's got every move that you can think of. So I think that his ball handling for sure needs to improve. But he did lead as far as he was the first one to announce, I'm going to do the G League thing. And then it was Jonathan Kuminga who reclassed and then joined him, Isaiah Todd and Knicks. And I don't know if those guys come unless Jalen Green says, nope, I'm going to be the first guy. And he's playing with Jared Jack right now. He's playing against guys that are really damn good. Nico Minion, maybe I chopped up a last name. Shout out Coach Coleman. But maybe I chopped his name up. But that kid is amazing in the Warriors G League Development League. Kevin Porter Jr. He's playing against pros. All those guys are going to be in the NBA by the end of the year or by next year. So this is the first year of the G League Development, and I think he's been getting better every year. I mean, he's practicing like a pro, and I think it's going to help out.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And when we come down to who do we want more, I tend to side on Jalen just because I think that his ceiling's higher. So I love Cade. I think Cade will be a great prospect. Jalen, I feel like, could be that superstar prospect. I think Cade is that all-star prospect, right? So when we're looking at it from that perspective, and I'm a little bit hometown bias a little bit, but I think Jalen could definitely be that. I love both these kids, though, and I think that we could see Jalen. I saw him going like 5, 6, 7. I still think he could be top 2 pick. I think that I've seen him some mocks, and we haven't really gotten a mock season yet for the NBA yet, but I think that he's going to solidify himself as a top 2 basketball player in this draft.
Well, and I've seen mocks are kind of all over the place. Some people have Mobley. Some people have Cunningham. Some people have Suggs. I've seen some people have Kuminga. I haven't seen Jalen in the number 1 spot, but I haven't seen him outside the top 5, top 7. I haven't seen him outside top 7, but I rarely see him outside the top 5. And I hear you on the ceiling, and that's a great point. I mean, he's just a smooth operator, and he looks the part. But I've been huge on Cunningham ever since I laid eyes on him, and because of his IQ, because he's smart, because of his just ability to control the game, he is going to be a bona fide all-star. He is the surest thing. I would have took him number 1 this year. You see how great LaMelo Ball is, and you might go back and forth on that now, watching how quick it was for him and his ceiling being higher than Cade. But I just was like, I want Cade because I can trust him. I think that he is an NBA pro. He had a daughter, right? And you know how being a young fatherhood that can mature you to the point. So I think of all these top prospects, they're all intriguing. But even if I had a big, or I had a big opening, I still, instead of Evan Mobley, give me the sure thing. Give me the guy that reminds me of Luka and can orchestrate in today's offense and appears to be a threat on the perimeter, but also everywhere, a 3-level scorer and a good IQ defender. So I tend to side with Cade. I understand your Jalen. I do like Jalen too. So this is not me trashing like Anthony Edwards. We both discussed before we got on here that there's something missing with him. His maturity is I don't care. He just didn't. He said quote like, yeah, I don't even watch basketball. I just play. Like, what? What do you do? This is your profession. This is your job.
Yeah, when he said that, I was kind of out. I want hoopers that care about the sport and guys that really want to grow. And I'm a Kobe guy, so I feel like both these guys have that Kobe mentality. And that's what I'm doing. Kobe's my guy. RIP. I love Kobe. So Kobe for me is that guy. And so when I look at these prospects, I'm saying, okay, who has that mentality, right? That Mamba mentality they talk about. I think both these guys do because they live and breathe basketball. And so that's why I love both these prospects. But I've seen Jalen literally work because I've just been around it. So that's why I've tied myself to him. But let us know. Let us know what you guys think in the comments.
Absolutely. So like, subscribe. Let us know who else you want us to break down. We will be talking about Jalen Suggs. We will be talking about Evan Mobley. We will be talking about Jonathan Kuminga. Heck, we'll be talking about Chet Holmgren and Imani Bates. We love those prospects as well. We go all the way down to Marcus Johnson Jr. We're looking at freshmen, right? And we would love to hear from you. This is Triple Play Fantasy Basketball. This is Coach's Corner, and we'll see you next time.